Hello, hello. It's Sab here, and I'm back with a new show, new Paris show for Paris Mastermind Masterclass members, and a new mug as well. Remember, everybody, not all who wander are lost. And if you know what that means, let me know. This actually came from the place I've just been. You can get a bit obsessed with, places like Paris. And last year I realized that I needed a sort of an alter ego for Paris, a place where there aren't sort of extremely old buildings and millions of people and tourists and things. And I half found that. I went on holiday to visit my parents in the Lake District in the northwest of England, and they've got sheep, cows, and trees, and mountains, and lakes. And that's about it. So got that from here. And I did a lot of wandering. And sometimes I was lost and sometimes I wasn't. Anyway, let's get on to today's show. We're in the warm-up period for the masterclass. The masterclass properly starts in January. I'm going to give you some Paris curiosities every week, more or less. And this week is no exception. I have 3, maybe 4 for you. We'll see how the time goes. So let me flip over to this. Feel free to say hello if you're watching on the replay. Hello. If you've joined the masterclass recently, or if you're just watching because you've already joined, you're watching live. Thank you. So let me remind you of how this works. This is Paris. Paris is like a snail. The districts of Paris, they're called the arrondissements, are arranged in a spiral shape. I don't know, can you see my mouse going out like this? The 16th has a bit of the Boulogne wood attached, and the 12th has a bit of the Bois de Vincennes, the Vincennes wood attached, which makes them a little bit curious and gives us the opportunity to have some really interesting Paris curiosities, because it is Paris, but it's like zoos and racecourses and things. So there's just, I will never finish discovering new things about Paris. So there it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those 6 central districts are Masterclass 1 from next year, January to April. Then it's the next 7. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 will be Masterclass 2 from May until August next year. And where was I? 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 around the outside will be the last masterclass next year. Another 10 weeks from September to December. That's the plan. Right now, I am getting into the rhythm of producing 1 curio file a day. And every week, I'm going to show you 2, 3, or possibly 4 of them. I've got a comment. Hello, comment person. Hello, Sab, it says. Hello, maybe that's Nazanin. Maybe it's Beatrice. Maybe it's Chris. Don't know. You have to tell me because I don't know who you are. All right. So that's the general layout. This is with pretty pictures in. And have a look at the Arc de Triomphe. Can you see it there in the top left? This is one of my curiosities for today. And it looks like it's in the 8th. But haha, is it really? And this one is more detailed, and you can see each arrondissement divided into the different quarters, 4 quarters per arrondissement. Let's jump right in, shall we? By the way, how are you doing? Beatrice, hi Bear. It's Beatrice. By the way, have you discovered anything new about Paris this week? Share it with me. I would love to know if you found out a new curiosity you can share with the masterclass. Here's the first one, and it's in the 4th arrondissement, which is called Hôtel de Ville. That's the name of the arrondissement. They all have names. And the quarter is quarter number 14, and it's called Saint-Gervais. So if we go back to this one, it's number 4. It's down here. You can see you've got Saint-Méry, Saint-Gervais, Arsenal, and Notre-Dame are the 4 quarters. And we're looking at Saint-Gervais. What is interesting in Saint-Gervais? Well, let's have a look. There's a wall, a very strange wall. I'm going to bring this up. There we go. Anyone know who this wall belongs to? Well, there are initials on it. So let me read this for you. I do. At least, could it be someone with the initials SC, perchance? Good guess, but no. Back in the early 1700s, there wasn't much of a system to the streets of the city. People would pop up a building here, hobble together a makeshift hut there, and it was somewhat chaotic. Louis XV decided, assez, c'était assez. Enough was enough. Or in English, as we say, an œuf was an œuf. An egg is an egg. Just forget all of that. It's nonsense. And he commissioned a bunch of blokes to go around noting where streets started and ended and marking them with symbols that we can see here. Can you see in the picture? There are actually letters on the corner of this very old building. There's an SC on that side, and there's another SC down there. Maybe I can blow it up even more. 200, 300, 500. How much can I blow this up? 500. That's pretty cool. All right. And where's the photo? The photo is there. Now you can really see those SCs, right? Look at that. It's impressive, isn't it? You're walking through the town, and if you don't know that they're there, you'll walk straight past them like 99.9% of the tourists. But if you do know they're there, or if you do have your eyes scouring the streets, as we do, well, can I change that quickly? Yeah, 200. All right, so let's carry on. With this reasonably coherent system in place, they could then clearly decree no new buildings to be constructed further than the SC corner to the north or east until further notice. This shot is from Google Maps, so nothing artistic about it, and you can see the corner there. And you can see that if you walked past, it's barely perceptible. I mean, if you look at my photograph on the right here, you can really see the SC well. But that's me taking the photograph, trying to make it obvious. If you're walking past, you might not see it. And other examples of this include the historic fontaine Trogneux, in the 11th. And there's something on the corner of Rue de l'Arbre-Sec with something very rare indeed. And that is to be covered in another thing, but you have the reference if you want to go scouring around. And this tells you where it is, corner of Rue Pavée and the Rue des Fonds-Bourgeois in the 5th. So here's something interesting. If you click on this, what on earth is this? W3W. Well, it's a relatively new system for locating any very small part of the earth with 3 words. And the W3W stands for what 3 words? It's a website. And with 3 words, I think it's 3 meters squared. So like this sort of space, every 3 meters squared of the earth has its own reference. So I'm going to click here and see what happens. I'm going to open it in another window. So when you have access to these, which you do, you have access to these if you want already, and you click there, it takes you to what is basically Google Maps, but it's been adapted. And you can see this is the square of the earth, which has the address kneeled, ticked, become. And you can see that it's in sort of plan mode. If you click on this little button in the bottom right, I think it should go to the picture mode. And if we go down, I'm going to take this little guy down to this corner, and let's see if we can find what we've been talking about. And there it is. You've got the Musée Carnavalet, the history of Paris on the left. Swivel round. Well, you don't even have to swivel, do you? There it is. That is our corner. You can see the SC on both sides of that. So if you want to quickly see on Google Maps exactly what it looks like as you're walking around the city, just click on the what 3 words, W3W reference, and you're going to go straight down into a version of Google Maps. And when it says what else, so this is going to be other related curio files. We're looking at a curio file. This is going to be other related curio files with things which are of interest, related to what you've seen. The thing is, I've just started, so I don't have those references yet. So when it says XXX or YYY, those will be new curio files which have things which are similar to this. And finally, there's a little thing that something that occurred to me. Don't know what it's going to be each time. There it is, gets you thinking. Imagine a time with no pretty street names on every corner. No classic Haussmann buildings that when we think of Paris, we think of those big classical buildings. Imagine a time with none of those. No big boulevard, no TV, no phones, and no internet. No clicking and going into Google Maps to see, where you are. Forget it. It was just a city with rogues and rascals running around. And I would love, maybe not to live in that time or even to be transported to that time, but I would love to have a snapshot, like 𝘾𝙪𝙧𝙞𝙤𝙪𝙧, where you've got Notre Dame. I'd love to go back 600 years, 300 years, the times when they were happily chopping people's heads off as a public spectacle. Just go back and see what it was like in costume, not that I was about to have my own head chopped off for wearing weird clothes, but I would love to do that. Anyway, that's a dream. Here's number 2, or the second one for today. And we've moved to the 8th arrondissement, and we're in the quarter of the Champs-Élysées. So the 8th arrondissement is here. And as you can see, Champs-Élysées is the quarter of the 8th, which is right next to the Seine. It also goes up to this little point here, which we will be looking at more closely in a minute. And I call this one the tortoise and the mare. I wanted to get rid of this menu thing here. There we go. Of impressive statues of men and the odd woman astride magnificent steeds or odd mares, which is a female horse, Paris has plenty. Here is, do you know who this is? Général Lafayette on the pretty, if noisy, Cours de la Reine. Walk next to the Seine on the rive droite, so on the right bank. There's it's got a road next to it, but there's a nice sort of grassy walk in the middle of the road, and it's between the flashy Pont Alexandre-III and the functional Pont des Invalides, accompanied by a kamikaze pigeon. You can see in my picture there's a pigeon which is either diving off the pedestal, which is quite high, or crash bombing into it. I'm not quite sure which it was. What's remarkable, though, about this photograph, it's not just the statue, it's an impressive statue. But what's really interesting is a real Paris curiosity, and that is the general's discreet, plodding companion. I just want to click on the thing here, just to show you where we are in Paris. So we're in Google Maps adapted. So you can see here, we're in this piece of green here, next to the River Seine. This is Pont Alexandre-III, the fancy one. You like it or you loathe it. And this one, Pont des Invalides, is much more of a standard bridge. Invalides is over here. And you've got Le Grand Palais, the big palace, the little palace. And on this piece of grass here is this statue. I'm going to see if I can go down there, and I never know where it's going to dump me. Sometimes it dumps me in an underpass and I'm just in a tunnel and I can't see anything. Yeah, there it is. So you can see there, that is the statue in the middle of Paris. There's Pont des Invalides. If we spin round, you can see Pont Alexandre-III. All right, so it's this statue here. It's surrounded by trees. And if we go back to this curiosity, you might have seen what it is. Unbeknownst to tourists and locals alike, strolling well above the occasional upward gaze and above all completely concealed by foliage, by leaves, except during leaf-bare winter months, a little bronze tortoise keeps horse and rider company. You can't see the tortoise in this photo, but if you go down here, this is my photograph, and it was so difficult to get. For a start, when the leaves go on the trees that are surrounding, you see all these trees here. When the leaves go on the trees, you can't see anything. You literally cannot see it. It's impossible, unless you have stilts or very long legs. So I had to wait until winter. I mean, I waited for months to get this shot. And there it is. It's on the edge that you can see in this picture. It's on the edge on the right there. And it's this little turtle in bronze, which has turned green, probably with oxidization or whatever happens. And it's under the legs of the horse. You can see it there. So a little bit of background on Lafayette. Lafayette was a hero of the American War of Independence and the French Revolution. American sculptor Paul Bartlett was charged with immortalizing the great man and horse, which was an honor. Bartlett wasn't a man in a hurry. However, he couldn't honor the 1900 Exposition Universelle deadline. So he was supposed to have done this statue honoring Lafayette on behalf of the Americans for the French for the 1900 Universal Exposition. He didn't make it. But he did manage to produce a plaster version to save face for the big event. But he then completely relooked the final bronze version we could admire today. The original, he was in sort of royal Louis XIV royal hat and gown and things like this. And in this version, it's more of a sort of a Napoleon type outfit. And the last section here says, not lacking humor, Bartlett seems to be mocking his own tardiness. The bronze was 8 years late, the actual bronze. Only on moving it from the Louvre in 1985 to make way for the pyramid was the little fella rediscovered. So that's a real gem. And I've actually got a map here to help you see where it is as well. So love that. That's one of my favorite of all of the Paris curiosities, this little guy here. Right, let's go over to number 4. And we are in the 17th now, 17th arrondissement. And what's this one about? Well, it's a cultural event. It's an artistic event. It's part of Paris now. You can't see this if you went to see it. You can't see it. It's now a memory. When I first arrived in Paris, I just missed, well, maybe by a few years, I missed an artist wrapping up the Pont Neuf, the new bridge. It's an artist called Christo and his partner, wife, called Jeanne-Claude. And they spent their lives wrapping up buildings as an artistic happening. And I was in two minds about it. I thought, on the one hand, it's ridiculous. On the other hand, how cool. But I always regretted seeing the Pont Neuf wrapped up. And as fate had it, in my lifetime, they decided to do the Arc de Triomphe in the same way. And I'm so happy that I was able to see that. And let me read the blurb. Get rid of that, make it a bit bigger. So, by the way, there's something interesting about the Arc de Triomphe. Which arrondissement is it in? Well, the Arc de Triomphe is literally split between the 8th, the 16th, and the 17th arrondissement. But I was feeling a bit sorry for the 17th because I don't think it has so many cool things. So I decided to put this curio file in the 17th. But if you look at the map of the arrondissement, they literally go through the Arc de Triomphe. If you look at this, you can see I mentioned earlier the Champs-Élysées. It's this thing here. No, hang on. It's this thing here. Okay, so it's on the edge. It's literally on this point. A third of it is in the 16th, a third in the 17th, and a third in the 8th. And the third that is in the 17th is in the Terne quarter, which is why it says Terne there. Quarter 65 Terne. All right. So, of course, you can't go and see Christo and Jeanne-Claude's last wrapping in real life. It happened in the autumn of 2021. And I consider myself fortunate to have witnessed it and to have a sliver, well, it is a sliver, silver and blue square for posterity. Where is it? I want to show it to you. So here it is. This is the square that you can see my son holding. That's Lil, and he's holding his square. Now, this is what it was covered in. It looks like it's white sheet, but in fact, it was this. You can see it's recycled plastic, and it was all funded by the Christo and Jean-Claude Association. So people who moaned about the expense and stuff, well, Paris and Parisians and French people didn't pay anything. And it was a 2-week happening, or 16 days. And you can see one side is silver, that's the side we're looking at in the picture, and the other side is blue. The result is you get this kind of, it's kind of a mesh. So you get this kind of blue coming through the silver. There's a sort of hint of blue to it, which is really interesting and really nice. So here's my boy the day we visited it, and it was so impressive. It was so cool. And it's tied up. You can see in this more artistic shot here in the top right, you can see it's tied with, it was something like 3 kilometers of red cord, which was really impressive. And you can see the blue hue, you know, where there's folds, the blue kind of comes through. I went to see it about 2 or 3 different times. Sadly, Christo died. That's actually my little box for the end. So I always regretted missing the packaging up of the Pont Neuf. So I was thrilled when the Arc de Triomphe got its turn. The idea dates back to 1961. Can you believe it? Christo got a little room near the Arc de Triomphe, and he could see it from where he lived, or when he came out of his place. And this idea sort of started to formulate in his mind. He started sketching and photo montaging impossible dreams. What is art about, if not to make you wonder? And it took him so long. Look, here's a picture of him with one of his more recent, I think this was maybe 2019 or 18 or 2020. He unfortunately died in May 2020. And after Jean-Claude died in 2009. So neither of them saw this come to completion, unfortunately. But he was working on it up until the end. And you can see there's a lovely rendition. And it really does look very similar. This is I think one of the ways they funded it was by selling his sketches of the final result. So there he is, the old guy holding his dream, and he never saw it, but he saw it in his mind with the Eiffel Tower in the background. And so this photograph, this sketch here with the Eiffel Tower there would mean that this view, if you imagine you were taking a photograph of this view, would be in the 17th, because you can't see the Eiffel Tower from there in the other way. That's what I believe. Lille might be also in the 17th, but I honestly can't remember if he was in the 17th or if we were in the 8th. Anyway, these are small details, but they're incredibly important and interesting to me. So there he is. And you've got your little map there. And let's see what happens if you click here. Now, do you like it? Do you like this wrapped up Arc de Triomphe or not? You'll find that some people loved it and some people hated it. Okay, here we are. This is the Arc de Triomphe. Have you seen that before, folks? I want to just see if I put my little man here, do I land on the roof of the Arc de Triomphe? I'm quite interested to find out. No, I'm under it. I'm under it with, how about that? The eternal flame burning underneath the Arc de Triomphe, because it was originally to honor the armies of Napoleon's army. As they came back from battle or something like that. But in fact, now, today, they have this flame burning as a kind of eternal memory. And I think there's a ceremony each week to sort of symbolically relight it or keep it alight or something. And so there you go. That's pretty cool. And funnily enough, my photo, today's photograph, which was a quiz. Let me show you that if I can find it. No, that's not it. See if I can find it here. One of my photographs from today was a quiz, the Where's Sab quiz. So can you tell me, here it comes. Can you tell me where I am? We're getting there. That is the photograph. This is the quiz. It might even get bigger. There you go. So the quiz is, where's Sab? Do you know where I am? This says something about lycéen, which is school kids, college kids, occupation nazie, so it's Nazi occupation, 1940. Well, did you guess? I am here. I'm underneath the Arc de Triomphe when I took that photograph, I believe. So that is that. Just one more thing on that, and that is my my little note at the bottom there. Full disclosure. Many people found this project ridiculous. wrapping buildings up. What a stupid thing. Will it damage the building? It's not honoring the Arc de Triomphe. It's insulting Paris. Yeah, there were people who were like that. Other people absolutely loved it. It drew so many tourists to Paris. To see this one-off, once in a lifetime, literally once in a lifetime. I'll never see it again. The guy is gone. It was his final work, and I found it so wonderful to witness it. So that's me. What about you? Did you like it or not? And the final one, we're going to the 20th. So here is the curio file. This again, I might say this for every single curio file, if you know me, but this again, well, let me read this paragraph, the one that is in the bottom left, and you'll get a feeling of how I'm feeling about sharing this with you. You might find it a bit strange what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say, I admit to feeling almost physical pain in sharing this one with you. Not that I don't love you, my dear Paris curiosity seekers, or because you don't deserve it. Of course you do. As a member of the Paris Masterclass, you deserve everything you're getting. It's just that this incredible blue version of what? I'll tell you in a minute. This incredible blue version eluded me for so long. I'd been here about 28 years before I remembered or rediscovered that there was a blue version of this Paris icon. And it almost feels like sacrilege to just hand it to you with the address, with photographs. Shouldn't you work for it? Shouldn't you, like me, take 28 years to discover that there's a blue one? Well, a blue what? Well, a blue one of these. So once in a blue moon, you'll find one that isn't green, because most of them are green, Between me and the Wallis fountains, that's what this is. It's a Wallis fountain. It's a long love affair. But here's the thing. Most of them are green, boring, banal, bottle green. They are an instantly recognizable city icon. Rich philanthropist Sir Richard Wallis, I think he was an Englishman, donated dozens of them to provide potable water to the thirsty citizens. Many aqueducts. This was back in, he started doing this, the first contributing or designing and building and forging or whatever you do with fountains and paying for them and stuff, started around about 1872. And this was just after the siege of Paris in 1870 to 71, followed by the Commune, which wasn't the most fun of times. And the Seine was, so basically aqueducts had been destroyed. The Seine was absolutely filthy. Clean drinking water was becoming more expensive than alcoholic drinks. So you can imagine that's not such a good thing if you want the population, and the population was not feeling very happy. So the danger is the whole of Paris would just be constantly pissed. So it was a philanthropic act, get clean drinking water to the poor Parisians. And this guy helped. And in those times, even today, these fountains are often the only really simple source of clean drinking water available to homeless people. So they're still going, although they do tend to close them in the winter for fear of freezing and maybe bursting the pipes. Anyway, so I think I've just said what I wrote. This picture here is the feet of a Wallis fountain. You can only see the whole one in this picture here, which is a screenshot from Google Maps of the whole fountain. They look like that. That's the fanciest one. This is a standard green one. And it's outside a very famous bookshop. Do you know which one it is? It's called Shakespeare and Company. And yeah, they're all over the city. It's always a pleasure to see them. And I realized I wanted a green one to contrast with the blue. And I realized I've hardly got any normal green Wallis fountain pictures. I'm going to have to remedy that. So I told you about feeling almost physical pain in showing you this, but I've got over it. So beautiful. There's 4 of them, these caryatids. Okay, there exist several models, including a rare simpler form without the curvy caryatids. So there's these 4 women holding up the cupola or whatever it's called, cupola, and sort of one on each side, and you sort of fumble around in between them and stick your hand in, and there's this stream of water going down. There was a cheaper version where it didn't have the ladies. It just had sort of straight pieces of metal. very rare. There is one in Paris. I'll show it to you at some point. It'll probably be a curio in another arrondissement thing. Then there are very common ones in parks. They're sort of little squat green things. They're not at all fancy like these, although they're very nice. And then there's another very rare one, which is a wall-mounted Wallis fountain. There's maybe one or two in Paris, which again will be a future curiosity file. And I'm going to take you down to show you where we are. So let me click here. 20th is a wonderful arrondissement. It's hilly. It's on a hill. And it's called Ménilmontant. Let me show you that here. So the 20th, it's here. Now the 11th and the 20th, they don't quite go, they stop at the 12th. You know, at some point the snail had to, one of the arrondissements had to go out to the side, to the final side, and it was the 12th. Then all of them go around 13, 14 and so on. But you've got this strange phenomenon where the 12th is twice as wide as the 11th and the 20th. That's kind of strange, but that's the way it is. And we're in Belleville. Belleville was the first place I had a proper place to live when I arrived in Paris in 1993. I may have eventually got there in 1994, where I was paying rent officially and stuff. Really interesting quarter, very cosmopolitan. You've got a lot of Arabic people brushing shoulders with Jewish people. There's a Chinese quarter, there's Thailand, there's Vietnam, there's even the odd occasional French person, and maybe even rarer, a Brit. And maybe Americans, I don't know. So we're in Belleville, very interesting. And let me show you what I've decided to do for each of the arrondissements. I've given them a symbol up in the top left. And you can see that the symbol of this one is a fountain. Not just because this curio file, the first one of the 20th, is a fountain. No, no, no. Belleville, it's on a hill, and it's well known for its sources of natural water, its springs. Okay, it sounds odd, you know, it's on a hill, therefore you get water from it. It sounds like you'd have to drill down even further. Well, yes and no. For some reason, water seems to bubble up on this hill. And there are about 4 or 5 different sources. And this is definitely another curiosity. It's places called regards, like regard, but it's a noun and it's like a little house. You suddenly see this strange little house on the edge of the road. What is that? And in fact, it's a regard. Regard means to look in French. And you look, you open the door, you go down some steps and you look at the water. You look at the spring, which is bringing water from a spring, then eventually down into Paris through a sort of system of pipes or aqueducts. So the whole area is known for supplying water to Paris. And that's why I gave it a fountain symbol. And the last thing says there, yeah, I've read that. So stay tuned for more watery wonders. I will be sharing more of those with you in due course. And there we are. We're more or less done. Oh yeah, I was going to show you what happens when you click on Advances Battle Trainer. You might want to try. And it takes us down here. Now, what we're looking at is the edge of Parc de Belleville, the Belleville Park, which is lesser known, but it's a really interesting park. It's on a steep hill, as you might imagine. We're on the same sort of hill range as Père-Lachaise, which is why Père-Lachaise is such an interesting cemetery. It's so hilly, ups and downs. If I zoom out a little bit more, you will see that we're just almost next door to Père-Lachaise Cemetery, which is there in the bottom. And of course, the beautiful Parc des Buttes-Chaumont, which means hills, a hilly park. Butte is a hill. And you might be interested to know that there are other hills. Look, here's this is definitely a curiosity coming up. It says Butte, that's all I'm going to say. It says Butte, which means hill. These are unknown hills, sometimes almost secret hills in Paris. And there's another one here, look, just over here. It says Parc de la Butte du Chapeau Rouge, which means the Red Hat Park, which is interesting. And you might even see 1 or 2 other references to hills hidden away in street names. Anyway, what I'm going to finish with, I'm going to show you where we are, Parc de Belleville. I've said it before, I'll say it again. When I discovered this, when I realized, I thought it's such a joy for me to find non-green Wallace fountains. It's sort of a perverse ecstasy. I don't know if you can get this, but there it is. And when I thought, after all these years, I thought I'd seen all the variations of the Wallace fountains only recently. You can't know everything. That's the thing. That's what's so wonderful. Only recently, I realized, I discovered, I saw something, and it was this, what I'm going to show you now. And I went there with Leo on a day out. He humors me. He quite enjoys walking around Paris as well. Okay, there we are. We're looking, you see how high it is? We're looking across. This is a wonderful view, looking across from the east of Paris. You can see sort of Eiffel Towers and everything, and Montparnasse Tower. There's a guy on a bench. And what do you have here? You have, the blue Wallace fountain. Happy day, happy day. So there it is, a gorgeous blue, lovely sort of deep electric blue. Absolutely superb, if you like that sort of thing. So that's it. I'll leave you with that. I have a lot of different photos of this, but that's the one I had available. Maybe I'll publish others in due course. And let me just leave you with this. And what's more, this is my little sneaky little thing at the end to give you one more piece of interesting information. I've got similar thrills over the years on discovering red, yellow, and even, I didn't have space to put the word, but violent pink Wallace watering holes in the city. Outside of the city, just outside, you've got grey, you've got white, you've got black, I think. It's never ending. Anyway, there you go. That's it for today, folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching the replay. If you've joined the masterclass recently and you're catching up on these, it ain't going to get any better. It's going to get worse, or it's going to get better, depending on how you look at it. So there you go. Four curio files for the price of 3 today, as we are. Don't forget, you've got the little map here as well, which shows you, apart from the address, you have the address. I'm giving you everything. But just to sort of, so you can situate yourself in, this is the 20th arrondissement. That's the shape of it. You can see it's this one here in the 20th. And this gives you the, it's more or less exact, but you know, you wouldn't use this map to get there. You'd use the address, which is down here, either the real address or, you know, click here and navigate towards it with your favorite navigator thing. So that's it. There'll be more. My rhythm is hopefully one a day, more or less one curio file a day. I'm building up for the masterclass next year, and I'm showing you a handful of them, not all of them. I'm showing you 2 or 3 or 4 possibly, let's say 3 a week until the masterclass starts in January. So thanks for watching, and I will see you again very soon, probably next Friday, for another set of curio files. Take care, and à très bientôt. Bye bye for now.